This is PSN Newsrun, streaming exclusively on YouTube.
Welcome to PSN Newsrun. Our top stories. Nigeria bids to host Africa's first Commonwealth Games. FCT police rescue abducted FCTA staff, kill 3 kidnappers in gun battle. And on the international scene, EU slams Russia with 19th sanctions package targeting banks, LNG and tech. Stay with us for details of these stories and more. President Bola Tinubu says Nigeria is ready to make history by hosting Africa's first ever Commonwealth Games in 2030. Here's Joycelyn from the State House.
A delegation from the Commonwealth Sport Evaluation Committee was received at the Presidential Villa by the President's Chief of Staff, Femi Gbajabiamila, on behalf of President Tinubu. The President assured that Nigeria is fully committed to hosting an inclusive, world-class games in 2030. Gbajabiamila, joined by ministers and senior government officials, held talks with the delegation led by Darren Hall, Director of Games and Assurance at Commonwealth Sports. President Tinubu stressed that the Commonwealth represents unity and diversity and said Africa deserves its moment after nearly a century.
Nigeria, I believe, is proud, very proud, to be one of the Commonwealth's strongest voices and most active members. Our role within this family has always been clear, to stand for unity, equality, and progress. Beyond the infrastructure, which is very important in terms of your evaluation, beyond infrastructure, there's some intangibles that you can't even put your finger on. That is what you will find in abundance, apart from the infrastructural development, in abundance in Nigeria. You know, the people, their warmth, their hospitality, the food. I'm sure you've heard about jollof rice. There's also, and we're not limited to that, there's amala, there's eba, there's begiri, there's inyo. You tried any of those? If you try any of those, you probably ask us to host the Commonwealth back-to-back.
Shehu Diko, chairman of the National Sports Commission, argued Nigeria's case over India, noting that Africa has 22 Commonwealth nations and Nigeria deserves the honor.
And Mr. President, the first step he took is try to agree that and recognize that sports should be our national assets. Because it's not just an entertainment, it's an economy. It is what binds us together. It is what provides all the good things that Nigeria stands for. Sports defeat that. And then also the kind of massive support that is given to sports in terms of budget to review the infrastructure, to put all the necessary enablers that is needed to get sports to the right level.
Habu Gumel, president of Commonwealth Sports Nigeria, said the country is ready to host environmentally sustainable games.
Our nation is a leader on the continent economically, culturally, athletically. Nigerian athletes have graced the tracks and fields of the Commonwealth with distinction, from the golden hurdler, Toby Amosin, to the indomitable spirit of our Super Falcons. We have hosted the All-African Games, the FIFA Under-17 and Under-20 World Cups, and numerous continental championships. Each event has strengthened our infrastructure, deepened our expertise, and revealed the boundless tourism of our people.
While Maina Sarah Ilo, chairman of the bid committee, presented Nigeria's proposal 15 sports, with football introduced to boost global visibility and engagement.
The Commonwealth may be in Asia and other places. It is in Africa that the Commonwealth is growing. South Sudan and recently Togo and Gabon joining in 2022. So this is where the Commonwealth should invest. And it is coming at a time when relationships between former colonial masters and their countries are frailing and in the Sahel. It is a time to come to some place where the Commonwealth is growing, to affirm the indivisibility of the Commonwealth as a community, as a family. and to give Commonwealth sports the opportunity to reach the next step as a global event.
Darren Hall thanked President Tinubu and Nigeria's team for their warm welcome, noting the Commonwealth, now 56 nations strong, is seeking greater diversity as it approaches its centenary.
We have looked at resetting and rescoping, and what was really interesting is that a lot of the work that we have done to reset and rescope the Games is very consistent with the work that was demonstrated to us with the Honourable Minister a month or so ago in London, to demonstrate the work that's being done by the Nigerian government in relation to sport and using sport for the power for change and to bring a lot of good into the community, be it economic, be it social. In Commonwealth sport, we refer to that in our reset as Commonwealth.
Several cabinet ministers, including those of information, aviation, culture, housing, and police affairs, were also present to back the bid.
In the last few years, our airports have undergone very massive upgrades in terms of infrastructure. If you look at our international airports now, especially the major gateways of Lagos and Abuja, we have now begun to use e-gates. And that's a very modern equipment all over the world, where people come scan their passports and go through. So there's less human contact in ingress and egress out of our airports. So that's a massive upgrade. But then that is even just a step in so many plans we have going forward. As I speak with you, the president has just approved a total reconstruction of the major gateway where everybody will come through anyway, Lagos. So that Lagos airport, if you came through Lagos, it's about to be completely rebuilt. And the contractors have mobilized to site. So this is not just a futuristic thing. The Federal Executive Council has approved. And that project should be done in 22 months from now, way ahead of the Games. And it's going to be one of the most modern airports in the whole of Africa.
As you can see, we are developing 7 cities within the country. We have started with 3 now. We have in Karsana here in Abuja, we are delivering 3,112 housing units within a fully serviced modern community. This Karsana, which I hope we'll visit it tomorrow, is within your schedule. It's fully connected with the roads, rail, all leading to the airport, passing through the sports facilities. We have in Ibeju-Lekki, Lagos, currently we are developing over 2,000 housing units. Mixed housing units development is underway, designed to attract private investment and expand urban structure. We have in Kano, which is the second largest commercial city.
That we are not just intellectually gifted, we are not just resilient, but when we speak, we achieve what we speak. This is the greatest country I've known ever in the world, and what you've heard from all of our leaders is to tell you that 2030 will be better than all we've established in the last 52 years.
As one of the biggest population of sport enthusiasts in the world, beyond football, we love every single of our sports and we love to win all the time. We know that sports is not 100%, but we compete. Beyond that, we have one of the largest markets. The sheer size of our population makes this country a compelling place to either host sporting events, aviation events, cultural events, housing events, whatever it is. If you look at the data, world population around the world, this country comes about 10 or 11. In 2050, we'll be the 4th largest population in the world. So if we want to really do something, this is the time to be our friend, to support us. Let's have the Commonwealth Games here in Nigeria 2030.
It's really about using Nigeria as a gateway, because Nigeria is a gateway to the global black community. A lot of the black community in the Caribbean, in South America, in other parts of the world look to Nigeria for a source of identity, because at the moment with Nollywood, the 2nd largest film industry in the world, and you have your Afro beats, the fashion, 49 subsectors within the creative economy. There's just so much for us to show and to express to the world. We are working directly with the Sports Commission. I must say, I think the President was a genius in giving the Sports Commission the kind of autonomy that it's needed. And because it has the autonomy and putting two of the most wonderful national treasures on top of it that have the kind of, they have just so much passion for sports. You can see, since they've been on board, what has opened up within the sports industry. The fact that we are sat here is part of the journey of that they have been in and that openness that the President has given. What I can assure you is that if we can have these games in Nigeria, it will be a huge statement to the world.
Africa has never hosted the Commonwealth Games since their inception in 1930. Nigeria's previous attempt for 2014 was unsuccessful, while Durban, South Africa, won the 2022 bid but withdrew over financial difficulties, leaving Birmingham to host. Nigeria and India are the two official bidders for 2030, with Abuja and Ahmedabad as their proposed host cities. The Commonwealth Games General Assembly will announce its decision in November 2025. Reporting for PS News, Joycelyn Ella Keche Ada.
As the National Council approves Naseni's solar irrigation pumps for nationwide rollout ahead of the 2025 dry season, here's Joycelyn with details.
In a bid to boost food security in Nigeria, the National Economic Council (NEC) has endorsed solar-powered irrigation pumps produced by the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure (NASENI) for national rollout ahead of the 2025 dry season farming. NASENI solar irrigation pump, produced to replace the petrol-powered pump, is aimed at reinforcing the nation's food security strategy, as it is expected to increase agricultural productivity, lower operational costs, higher incomes, and improve livelihoods. Chairman of the Council, Vice President Kashim Shettima said the scaled-up solar irrigation pumps is an indication that Nigerians can compete at the global level with their creativity.
This actually aligns with national priorities of Mr. President to support expanded dry season cultivation. Presently, the current status is that infrastructure across NASENI platforms can produce anywhere between 90,000 to 100,000 solar-operated and battery-backed solar pumps a month. So what NASENI has demonstrated and presented to Council is that they are ready to mass produce and distribute in time for the 2025 dry season farming. Funding is now in the final step to unlock national rollout.
The Council also mandated the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, to work out modalities of funding to enable NASENI to mass-produce the solar irrigation pumps and distribute in time for the 2025 dry season. At the meeting, the Governor of Delta State, Sheriff Oborewori, updated on the nation's account balances as at 17 September 2025.
SS crude account $535,823.39. Stabilization account is $83,495,784,133.4 million naira. Natural resources account stands at 125,818,396,257.4 naira.
The Council was also briefed on the 31st edition of the Nigerian Economic Summit with the theme, The Reform Imperative, building a prosperous and inclusive Nigeria by 2030.
The summit is an operation between the Federal Ministry of Budget and the private sector, and this is the 31st edition. And the included in the theme are elements including the reform landscape, policy direction for sustainable development, inclusive reform imperative, noting the uneven global growth, geopolitical tensions, rising climate geopolitical tension rising, climate and technological shifts, demographic shifts, as well as inflation and policy. And this summit is taking place at a time when we are reviewing the National Development Plan, which the 2021 to 2025 plan is finishing by December, and therefore we are developing the 2026 to 2030 plan.
Other briefing included the NSA on the purpose of Nigeria's Anticipatory Action Framework, which outlined a proactive strategy to reduce the humanitarian and economic impacts of riverine flooding through early warning, targeted preparedness, and coordinated response.
The objectives of the Anticipatory Action Framework include, but not limited to, protect vulnerable households, enable timely and dignified interventions before flooding peaks, focus on equity, ensuring no community is left behind, amongst others. Has commended the Office of the National Security Advisor for the work done, as reflected in the presentation describing the framework as comprehensive and visionary. However, Council resolved that the scope of the framework has to be widened in order to include more states and submit final document for ratification at the next meeting of NEC.
A memo was presented to Council by Jigawa State Governor. The purpose was to share important information regarding the constraints affecting agricultural production and potentials they have in exacerbating the fragile food security situation the federal government has tried to resolve for over 2 years.
This memo was as a result of the same memo I presented last week at the Presidential Food System Coordinating Unit Steering Committee, which is also chaired by the Vice President, and he asked that the same memo be presented to the Council for consideration. The major recommendations in the memo includes the following. Government should give equal emphasis to optimizing fertilizer costs, perhaps through the prioritization of the mandate given to the Presidential Food Security Coordinating Unit to liberalize fertilizer cost. 2, also to make available small handheld implement for small-scale and subsistence farmers who are invariably too low in the ladder to immediately benefit from the tractor program that is being implemented. Also, the memo also recommends that the chairman of NEC, which is the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, should respectfully remind Mr. President of his directive during the special NEC meeting held in June 2024, where he ordered Neseni to ramp up production and also seek his approval to fund the production of between 50 to 100,000 farms for distribution to state on need basis.
Finally, Council resolved to frontally tackle the challenges of high energy cost and fertilizer prices in the country, also directing the Minister of State for Petroleum, Gas, to interfere with stakeholders in the industry with the view to addressing high cost and availability of gas domestically and report back at next meeting of Council. Reporting for PS News, Joycelyn Ella Keche Ada.
For the first time in 62 years, the federal government is ending passport production at multiple centers, centralizing the process in a major push to curb corruption and delays. Ella files in this report.
For the first time in over 6 decades, the federal government has ended passport production at multiple centers, centralizing the process to improve efficiency and curb irregularities. The Ministry of Interior confirmed the reform, saying all passport booklets will now be produced as a single center facility instead of scattered centers nationwide. Officials argue that the old system, in place since 1963, fueled delays, corruption, and supply shortages that frustrated millions of applicants. Authorities believe the new centralized structure will allow for better monitoring, tighter security, and smoother distribution across states and embassies abroad. While government says the reform will enhance transparency, critics warn that centralization could create fresh bottlenecks if logistics are not managed effectively. With demand for passports rising at home and abroad, Nigerians will now watch closely to see if this historic shift truly delivers the speed and accountability promised. Ella Okechukwu, PS News.
The FCT Police Command says it has rescued an abducted staff member of the FCTA after a fierce gun battle with kidnappers, neutralizing 3 suspects and recovering arms. Daniel takes us on this security report.
The Federal Capital Territory Police Command say it has rescued a senior staff of the FCTA's Department of Urban Affairs after a fierce gun battle with kidnappers. 3 notorious bandits were neutralized in the operation. Police Commissioner Ajao Adewale told reporters that the anti-kidnapping unit, working with the Guards Brigade, DSS, hunters and vigilantes, stormed Zinda Forest near Kurudu, Nasarawa State. The team rescued the abducted victim Nafiu Idris and recovered rifles, ammunition, shams and cash.
It was a life-threatening battle that involved 30 minutes of heavy gun duel between our operative and this hoodlum. To God be the glory. The rest is history, as their weapons were recovered. 15 rescued alive is here to give his testimony, while some of the hoodlums paid dearly for what they've been doing. It will interest you to know that 75 personnel were involved in that single operation. Expensive, opposable, and successful.
I want to say this thing to the media. I believe if there is a maximum cooperation given to these our policemen, they can do more. They can do more. So, and information sharing is good because they conduct the thing. I don't even know what to say. It's God that brought them to me. I don't know that they have been tracking, they have been working. We just saw them there. Because where they took me, I worked for like 5 hours. If you see me, I was limping. But the policemen, with the soldiers and other sister agencies, they were there.
The commissioner also confirmed that the hoodlums had earlier attacked Busape villages, where vigilantes repelled the assault. 2 vigilantes were injured, 1 later died at the National Hospital. The command gave an update on East-Wider operations. 11 drug dealers were arrested, with 68 bags of suspected cannabis recovered. 3 one-chance robbery suspects were also tracked and arrested, with stolen items and vehicles linked to the crime seized.
We were able to bust 3 syndicates within the time under review. 115 ATM cards were recovered from this criminal. We will have opportunity to interview some of these victims after this mic address. Firearm recovered within the time under review. 7 on display there, including 1 locally made pistol, 5 magazines, and 20 live ammunition. These were recovered mainly from the kidnappers.
In the separate operations, 7 firearms, 18 stolen vehicles, and truck tires were recovered. 9 suspects are now facing prosecution. The FCT Police Command insists its renewed operations are aimed at dismantling kidnapping and robbery gangs, while reassuring residents that Abuja remains secure. Reporting for PS News, Daniel Okejeme.
The European Union has rolled out its 19th sanctions package on Russia, hitting banks, LNG imports and advanced tech in a fresh bid to pressure Moscow over the war in Ukraine. Marianne is on the international desk.
The European Union has rolled out its 19th package on sanctions against Russia, intensifying economic and technological restrictions as the war in Ukraine grinds on. In its latest move, the European Union announced a ban on transactions with several Russian banks, including those operating abroad, in a bid to further isolate Moscow's financial system. The package also targets energy, with restrictions on Russia's liquefied natural gas (LNG) imports set to take effect by January 2027. The sanctions extended beyond finance and energy, tightening controls on advanced technologies such as artificial intelligence and geospatial data that could aid Russia's military operations. Brazil's also blacklisted dozens of companies accused of supporting Russia's war effort, signaling a wider crackdown on networks linked to the Kremlin. As Europe doubles down on penalties, question remains over Moscow's resilience and how long global markets can absorb the ripple effect of an extended sanctioned regime. Marianne Awuya, PS News.
This is where we draw the curtains on today's news run. Thanks for watching. I am Oluwatosin Deba.
You just watched PSN Newsrun, streaming exclusively on YouTube. This is your trusted voice for news that matters. Subscribe, like, share, and stay informed.